Hey, beautiful, welcome in. I am delighted to have you join us for a very special series of tarot and oracle readings honoring Black History Month. If this is your first video, I want to begin by sharing my inspiration and process for curating this series. But if you've already heard my spiel, you can use the timestamp in the caption below to skip straight to the reading. This series centers around a deck of cards that I've had for almost 2 decades. It is the African American Women Knowledge cards created by the Library of Congress. It was not created to be a spiritual deck. However, I've had the inclination for many years to use it as an oracle deck. And in February 2025, at the time that I'm recording this, I got the green light from my guides. So I cleansed the deck, I blessed it, and I modified it as I was guided to. And then I put out a call to the ancestors featured and celebrated in the deck to see who wanted to come forth and share messages of love, healing, and truth with me and my Café community. And from that call, we had 6 beautiful women ancestors respond, saying that they wanted to show up for us and share messages. And I've been spending time with these 6 beautiful women at my altar and just allowing their presence and their stories and their images really resonate and integrate and sink into my own psyche and spirit. And what you'll receive in each of these 6 videos is a message from one of these 6 ancestors. I begin with her image and her biography and any intuitive information, any intuitive insights that come through for me based on that information. And then I'll pull tarot and oracle cards to elaborate on the message and see what more we can learn from this beautiful ancestor. So go ahead and get comfy and cozy and get ready to fill your spiritual cup in communion with the ancestors. Greetings, dear ancestor Toni Morrison. We are grateful for your life and legacy, and we are thankful for your support now with a message of love, truth, and healing. Toni Morrison, born 1931. Through her imagination and power as a storyteller, Toni Morrison has become one of the most honored of modern writers. She received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1993. I think long and hard about what my novels should do. They ought to identify those things in the past that are useful and those things that are not, and they ought to give nourishment, says Morrison, whose memorable characters are built out of her experiences growing up as a Black woman in a predominantly white society. Born Chloe Anthony Woodford in Lorain, Ohio, Morrison studied at Howard and Cornell universities before becoming an English instructor and an editor for Random House in New York. She published her first novel, The Bluest Eye, in 1970 to critical acclaim. Her subsequent novels encompass a virtuoso range of structure, style, and subject. They include Song of Solomon, 1977, which won both the National Book Award and the National Book Critics Circle Award, and Beloved, winner of the Pulitzer Prize in 1988. All right, we're going to start with the Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle Deck by Abiola Abrams. So before I pull the card, what I was saying about receiving intuitive hits, the things immediately coming forth just in this biography of Toni Morrison is the power of imagination, of course, the power of words and telling stories. And not coincidentally, synchronistically, the week that I'm recording this, the flavor of the week, which I introduce on Sundays as part of the weekly refill, is Revision Your Story. And it's all about the power of changing our narratives. And the oracle card from a different deck was the storyteller. And so for Toni Morrison to be the first ancestor to come forward with a message and to be one of the greatest storytellers that, the world has witnessed and that has influenced so much of our culture and our philosophy and, our understanding of ourselves as humans, and particularly, Black people in America. And so already thinking about using and how we now have to continue using our powers of imagination, continue using our power and authority as storytellers in our own right. The other thing that really stands out to me, and it speaks to the journal prompt, the journal activity that I introduced in the weekly refill as well, which is her quote that says, her novels ought to identify those things in the past that are useful and those things that are not, right? And she talks about giving nourishment, which for me feels like filling your cup. And so reading, whether it be reading scripture, reading sacred texts, reading historical texts, reading texts written by ancestors like Toni Morrison and her contemporaries, reading ancient documents, reading the journals of your grandparents, all of that can be part of how you fill your cup in pursuit of fulfilling your destiny, okay? So that's the message just inherent in the biography of Toni Morrison. Now we'll continue with oracle cards to see what else comes through. All right. Additional message. Or what more would you like to elaborate on for the lovely souls who are gathered here today? Okay. The card that we have is number 22, Altar of Fire and Good Juju. We like this. Good Juju is good luck, prosperity, abundance. An altar of fire can be seen as the Page of Wands in some way, and it's about that creative spark, that creative fire, using your curiosity and your, interest in life and discovery to go out and explore, right? So I'm loving this. And the good juju is a positive, optimistic, hopeful message coming through in conjunction with our ancestor Toni Morrison here. And also how we create good juju, right? So we don't have to just sit and hope that we receive good juju. We can be active in creating and amplifying and multiplying the good juju in our lives and in our world through our creative processes, through our imaginative works, through our storytelling, right? I love that. All right. And I'm using the Hoodoo Tarot deck to get additional messages as well. All right. Any additional elaboration on the message of love, truth, and healing for those who are gathered here at this time? Okay, we have several cards. I think we have more than enough. Okay, so let's get these settled out. So they fell in two different clumps, 3 cards apiece. The first set of cards, we have the 10 of baskets. Well, actually, this came out separate. We have the 10 of baskets and Gullah Jack, which is like the hanged man. Okay, so the 10 of cups is family, joy, and happiness. And Gullah Jack is sacrifice, right? And being, understanding what sacrifices might need to be made in order to protect, preserve, grow, and nurture the communal spaces, right? Whether it be a family or, a block party, or outside barbecue. You can see the depiction here. But Gullah Jack is also about patience and waiting for divine timing, right? It's the external situation that is requiring or calling for stillness at this time and not rushing. And so sacrifice could just mean a sacrifice in time, in patience. And I'm really cautious about, using that phrase of sacrifice, but what are you willing to do in service to your own happiness? What are you willing to do in service to your own joy? And at the same time, there's a level of patience and knowing and faith in that stillness, right? And so what helps you to persist in the moments when you're not seeing progress? What helps you to persist in the moments when things are not developing in the way that you hope is that sense of faith. And also I'm getting that who is the community around you that is supporting you as you're making a particular sacrifice? Who's the community around you that is supporting you as you are gestating and nurturing something that is growing within you, right? It could be a project that you are working on that is in the beginning stages, that is in the nascent stages. And it's not where you ultimately imagine it to be, but you have a support system, you have something and people, community around you that's fueling you to persist, even, when that seed is underground and it looks like nothing's happening. And then one day you show up and it's a sprout. There's something visible, right? That's kind of what I feel here. And then the other cards that came out, Black Herman, the Ancestors, and the Son of Sticks, which is the Page of Wands, right? So the Page of Wands came through in the Oracle card here with good juju, and it came through in the Tarot card. So there's definitely a message. There's definitely creative fire. So someone in this Café community is, part of their role in the Café community, but really just in your life, has to do with your creative expression. Your creative expression, driven and fueled by your own curiosity, your own adventurous spirit and spirit of discovery. And you might very well be a writer. You might very well be an artist that is creating from your spirit, right? Putting work out into the world that is a true, authentic expression of your soul and allowing it to be seen, allowing it to get the visibility and sharing it with the people that you're called to share it with. And Black Herman is the artist. It is the magician in traditional tarot decks, right? And so this is reminding you, our ancestor Toni Morrison is bringing in additional confirmation that you have everything you need to fulfill the dream, fulfill the vision. If you want to write that book, it's all in you. The book is already inside of you, and you have the resourcefulness and the inventiveness and the ingenuity to make it manifest into something tangible that we can witness and that we can enjoy and appreciate. And the magician is just the manifester, And of course, the ancestors. I love that this is the first reading that I'm doing, and this card presents itself in the tarot portion. That is the death card in other tarot decks. And it speaks to transformation. It speaks to the past always being present and knowing that in this pursuit of discovery, as you tell the story, as you use your imagination, as you express yourself creatively, the ancestors are your muse. The ancestors are helping you to channel that genius that you have, that you are a channel for, that you are a portal, you are a vessel for divine inspiration. And you can look to, again, the works of your ancestors, look to the creative output of your ancestors and let it fill your cup, let it inspire you. You could be getting downloads as you read novels and poetry and essays by your ancestors. But thinking also about that energy of the death card and transformation, it is, one, I'm getting the spirit of reincarnation, but also just how things can be made new. Things can be made again. So reincarnating a childhood experience into a beautiful piece of art, reincarnating sadness and grief into a poem, reincarnating heartbreak into a painting, reincarnating, childhood trauma into a therapy practice, reincarnating anything, joy, reincarnating happiness, reincarnating love into dance, into song, into laughter and humor. So many ways that this could be. And then strength was the card, the very last card that kind of stuck in my hand as I was putting the deck away. And strength is one, it could be about the physical body. Why is that coming through? Why is the physical body? Yeah, so the physical body in and of itself being a vessel of expression, being a site of expression, and understanding that a few things. One, our bodies themselves are creative things. So the creator, the creators, gods, the universe, the divine entity that created us, right? Most often known as God. Like our physical form was a creative act of God, right? It was. So we are already a work of art just in our physical existence. But the other thing is that we use our bodies to manifest other creative things, whether it's using our voice to sing or to speak or to teach or to edify and nurture and encourage, using our bodies to dance or to paint or to dictate or to photograph things or code a special, a new AI program, or all the ways that we can be creative to engineer, buildings and bridges and cultural systems. All of that, the body is the vessel, is the channel that connects that spiritual inspiration, that divine inspiration with the concrete reality that we see around us. Now, the other side of the strength card as well is the courage and the grit to go there, to allow yourself to go there. And so this magic, this beauty, this expression of your soul requires courage on your part. And it requires courage to have faith, right? The courage and the strength to make those necessary sacrifices. And for some of us, the sacrifice might be the perceived or alleged safety of obscurity, the perceived or alleged safety of not being seen, the perceived or alleged safety of not putting ourselves out there, of not creating our art and not sharing it, not writing the poem and not reading it or reciting it at the open mic, right? So, another ancestor, Maya Angelou, says that the greatest of all virtues is courage, because without courage, you cannot consistently apply any of the other virtues. So this altar of fire from our ancestor, Toni Morrison, finding the courage to use the power of your imagination, find the courage to use the power of your storytelling nature as a human, right? Humans innately are storytellers, whether you are telling a story through mathematics and science and engineering, or telling a story through words, through image, through sound, through physical gesture, whatever mode of storytelling you have. Take inspiration from this ancestor, Toni Morrison. Read some of her works and let it fill your cup with divine inspiration, okay? That spark of inspiration. Because again, you have the signature of the Page of Six coming out twice, with the altar of fire and Gajuju, and the Son of Six, which is all about fun, play, play as a way to tap into your creative flow. All right, my dears. One, we'd like to again thank our ancestor Toni Morrison for providing us this inspiring message. And I hope that it has in some way helped you to fill your spiritual cup. And I hope to see you in the next video in this series. Much love.